Welcome, folks, to your daily reading. I am using the Light Seers Tarot today, and I've laid everything out in a Celtic cross formation. You have here the Eight of Cups in reverse, and together with the challenge, you have the Ten of Cups, and it's in reverse, pointing back to the past. I feel like the person that I'm speaking to right now went back to a family environment that fell apart for a reason. And it was easier to go back to the family. It was easier to go back to what you had placed an emotional investment into than it was to leave, than it was to stay away. Here in the past, you have death and also rebirth. It's a combination of the two concepts, I should say. This family fell apart for a reason, and I've been speaking to these folks now for a while. This family fell apart for a reason because it wasn't meant to last, and trying to force something to last that the universe wants to end is only going to bring pain to us. This ended, and you may have left, but with the Eight of Cups being in reverse, that was a temporary leaving. You should have stayed away, is what my guides are saying right now. This family appears to be happy on the surface, but behind the scenes, they are anything but. In your conscious position, I'm suspecting that you're perfectly aware of how deeply conflicted you are, even if you're not ready to admit it to yourself yet. You wanted to stay, you wanted to go at the same time, and it was easier to stay with the familiar, even when it was harmful to you, even when it might have even been evil for you. It was easier to stay than it was to leave. In the subconscious position, you have the Five of Cups in reverse. It's struggling with the choice to leave. It's struggling with this choice to stay. You're just kind of in a place of inner solitude, not in a good way. It's solitary confinement. It doesn't have to be this way. It's grief, it's mourning for what could have been but isn't possible to have. You don't want to be here, but you don't want to stay. You don't want to leave either. It's a really difficult place for you to be in. You should have left when you had the chance. You will be given another chance to leave, but it'll be even harder. And every time you reject the chance to leave, it'll become even harder to leave until the universe forces you to make a choice to stay or to leave. And by then, that'll be a choice that you won't be able to come back from. In your future position, you have the Two of Pentacles. Are you going to choose what is good for your earthly aspect, or what are you going to choose what is good for your spiritual aspect? She's kind of juggling the two, but she isn't really paying attention to either one. She's just going through the motions, juggling what she thinks she should. And one should hold precedence over the other, but at this point she's just got them in cycles, flinging them up and down. Doesn't really pay attention to what's going on. She just says, whatever, it is what it is. In your advice position, you have the Queen of Wands. She's upright. That means to take action in a way that is compassionate towards you, that is loving, that is in alignment with your intuition. She's a deeply powerful figure because she has both fire and water at her disposal. It can be kind of volatile. People don't always understand her for who she is. They don't always appreciate her for who she is. But she's a cool person nonetheless. People don't always enjoy such a powerful individual. And you might feel not very powerful at all. In fact, what I'm getting with your cross, I'm reading from the rod at this point with this card. With your cross, I'm getting someone who feels defeated, who willingly chooses not to go, who willingly chooses to sacrifice themselves to people who don't deserve the sacrifice, who don't deserve your presence, deserve your light or your compassion. You should move on sooner rather than later, before the universe forces you to make a choice and before you're forced to live with those consequences. You need to go. You need to leave. I've been speaking to these people now. I've been speaking to people like you now for a couple of weeks, and I hope you make the right choice. In your environment card, you've got the Two of Wands. You're dreaming of something better, but if you're not willing to take action, it's possible that you'll just end up regretting those dreams because you didn't take action on them. The Queen of Wands has more than enough power to act on those dreams and to make them come true. They don't just have to be dreams for you. They can be things that you take action on. I see here in your hopes and fears that you are afraid of hanging out with friends. It's possible that you feel guilty about what advice that they've given you that you've ignored. You want to see them again because they probably brought quite a bit of comfort to you. But they gave you advice that you wanted to follow. Shallow. Some of their advice might have been too shallow for your situation, and it's possible that a therapist would be better for you instead of just trauma dumping on your friends and asking them for advice. It's not that their advice was necessarily bad, it's just that it didn't go deep enough for your situation, and reaching out to a professional might be the best way to go about this if you are going to take action and leave and stop just juggling what society expects you to juggle. This isn't paying attention to the load that you're carrying. You're just going through the motions. And if you want to break that, and this is in your outcome, if you don't want to be in this position of being blinded to your pathway forward, you need to take action with the Queen of Wands, and you need to break cycles of saying whatever, it is what it is. Because this saying it is what it is blinds you to the possibilities, blinds you to what you could be capable of if you chose to leave your situation and not look back. It is very difficult to leave a situation that we're comfortable in. It can be that you're struggling with guilt for having left at all, and that's another great big albatross around our necks, is guilt for what you feel like you should have done, for what you feel like you owe to yourself. There's that inner conflict again. Should I go? Should I stay? I'm feeling guilty either way. This is where a therapist is really going to come in handy for you, because I don't know that even friends, even if they're kind, even if they're well-meaning, there's a sense of shallowness to their advice, not because they are shallow people themselves, but because they simply don't have the experience to deal with your kind of situation. You might have to leave your family, whether that's your family that you've got with a partner, whether that's your family of origin, extended family. You might have to leave them a few times before you finally say enough is enough. I can't carry this anymore. The universe will give you those options in the future. They will give you the opportunities to leave, but at a certain point, it's not going to be possible to leave anymore. After a certain number of choices, you're going to be forced to stay, or you're going to be forced to go, or you can ask yourself, can I have myself leave sooner than my decision being forced on me? It doesn't have to be this way. The figure in this card doesn't see that they have a choice to release themselves from the birds that are binding them. They don't see that, and it might be because you don't want to see that you have the choice to leave before the choice is forced on you. You don't have to go if you don't want to, but it would be in your best interest if you were to stay. Not always. For some people, you need to go now. But for some people, you might need to stay and go through the ringer and continue to be hurt and abused and taken for granted until you've had enough of being hurt, abused, and taken for granted. Please reach out for help. Please don't stay in this state of accepting being hurt, being abused, and saying, I deserve this. This is the sacrifice that I need to stay with my children, or whatever your situation may be. There is no sacrifice worth staying in a situation that you're not meant to stay in. As hard as freedom might be, as hard as striking out on your own might be, the freedom is worth it. Your new self, your highest self, is worth it, and it will thank you if you can choose to leave a situation that no longer serves you. It's not going to be friends who help you through this. It's going to be a therapist. It's going to be a guidance counselor. It's going to be a grief counselor even. You need assistance apart from just friends. And first of all, you need to be able to trust yourself, that you need to be able to trust your intuition, that when it says it's time to go and not turn around and come back, you need to trust it and you need to obey it. It shouldn't be like this, and it won't always be like this if you choose to make a choice in that direction. It's not the message I wanted to give, but you deserve the truth. I wish you a healing journey. I hope that you leave this situation that no longer serves you, and I hope you move on to something better, and I hope you don't look back. Take care.